Dun, 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 pum, pum. Boom! Hello and welcome, everybody, to this fantastic, lovely dinosaur chat about, why I don't use Boseiju Who Endures. In the main, it might creep in to the sideboard, but I had a fantastic comment recently wondering about that, or potentially other lands with activated abilities that cost some mana, just because the way I love to play dinosaurs, using that Sunken Citadel there, well, that is pretty nice. Extra mana for lands with activated abilities. I just wanted to get something out, just because I was pretty tired, so I was planning to stream this past night, but that's how it goes. Sleep is good, but the list, as always, in the description. Haven't had, of course, as much time as I would have liked to grind the ladder day in, day out for the month of March, but we'll get there. Definitely gonna get there. And a couple new additions, re-additions that I'm trying out. Also, somebody mentioned about Growing Rites of Itlimoc, Cradle of the Sun. I haven't really used it too much. I think it's better dedicated towards a token strategy, but we're getting a little sidetracked here. Boseiju Who Endures. Oftentimes, a lot of the time, if you're in green, it's basically zero drawback to have at least one copy of that in the list. However, the mana base right now pretty locked in, pretty specific with 20, which if you're new to this, you might think that's not enough for the average mana value of 4.6. That is not the case, though. I'm always playing dinosaurs. I've pretty much always played Stampede Dinosaurs since the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Countless streams if you want to get caught up, for sure. And a primer too, because it is a little bit of a different way to do them. But 20 lands, there you go. That's enough to get the job done. Focusing on the Sunken, like I mentioned, using that mana, the 2 mana from one Sunken to activate Castle Garenbrig, or the 2 mana from a Sunken, if you choose green, that goes towards the cycling or the discard effect of Boseiju. You don't even need a legendary creature out to reduce it to 1 mana. 1 land can get that job done. However, Cavern of Souls, 2 copies. I wouldn't trim 1 copy. I tried 1 copy of Cavern of Souls for a long time, and I just didn't like getting caught out. Whenever I faced off against counter spells, that was rough. They would oftentimes use Field of Ruin or Demolition Field to get rid of my single copy, and then I had zero hope of counterspell protection. Well, other than Carnage Tyrant or Tyrranax Rex, but I want that counterspell protection to maintain
ruthless aggression.
Absolutely ruthless aggression. That is really all it takes. If the Cavern of Souls, of course, is going to allow me to stick to Ghalta, it doesn't matter how many sweepers they have, because Regisaur and Palani's Hatcher are giving everybody haste, and then the opponent's dead, which is lovely stuff. So Cavern of Souls, 1 extra copy just in case they destroyed, and just to see it a little bit more often in those counterspell type matchups. And Stomping Ground, pretty self-explanatory, but it's the best dual land that is a forest, which is also a very good point. Boseiju Who Endures is not a forest type land. I try to have as many in here, and I have as many in here as possible to help Castle Garenbrig enter untapped. With Boseiju, when I tried it a couple times, I took out one of these lands, I can't remember which, but it was a forest type land, and I lost because Castle Garenbrig entered tapped. And that can't happen. That doesn't. I knew for a fact the Boseiju would have been a forest type land. I knew Castle Garenbrig would have entered untapped. I forget what I was going to cast, but it was going to be something big. It could have been a Vaultborn. It could have been the Ghalta. I lost because I used Boseiju. Now the effect of Boseiju, instant speed, uncounterable usually, taking out an artifact, enchantment, a non-basic land, pretty good. And the comment was made about, I could take out a Leyline Binding, get back a Ghalta, which the opponent has temporarily stolen. I think it was against that 5-color Overlord Enchantments deck. Or just get a Vaultborn Tyrant back. Quite nice indeed. But the success rate, at least against that specific deck, feels high enough. There's always going to be a Leyline Binding. They're always going to be stealing something. But I'm packing the best heat against an enchantment-heavy deck. I don't feel Boseiju is as necessary. If that deck was feeling even more painful to face, 100% Boseiju would definitely save me. And sometimes that's all it takes, taking out the Leyline Binding or the Damping Sphere. I've had some Rakdos Demons opponents bringing the Damping Sphere to stop lands for tapping for multiple mana, and oftentimes that's all they have to do. So a Boseiju digging with Commune, because Boseiju is a land, grab it with that. Archdruid's Charm could grab it, but of course if I was going to take out an artifact or enchantment, I would just use Archdruid itself. And Sylvan Scrying too. There's a point where I don't want to see any more Sylvan Scryings. I can make 8 mana, I don't really need to make 9 in most cases. So Sylvan Scrying mostly completely useless, but increasing the value of it. If I have a Boseiju or perhaps a manland, something that gets rid of graveyards, exiles a couple cards, is always good to keep in mind, for sure. But yeah, Stomping Ground, it's a forest type land, the best dual land, red and green. There you go, can enter untapped. And then Commercial District, possibly, I would say, the second best dual land. That is, the mountain and the forest, continuing to help that Castle Garenbrig enter untapped. Lovely if I don't need any more lands. Let's say I have a Sylvan Scrying, I might as well grab the Commercial District, play that, Surveil, get one turn closer. That has made all the difference. It could be one turn sooner seeing the Commune, which is going to dig to be 5 turns sooner to see the Ghalta Stampede Tyrant, and poof. Sometimes I do have that one extra green, and yeah, I can spend it on Commune to grab Ghalta to still play her, which is absolutely nuts. So Commercial, getting my sources of red. Itzquinth, trying that out a little bit. I don't always need red, but when I do have the sweepers and whatnot. But still, forest type lands, 100%. And then forest themselves. I'm not going to trim one of these for a Boseiju. 2 forest would be way too low. I've tried it before. It's not pretty. Whenever an opponent is using that Field of Ruin, which I mentioned, or Demolition Field, I could start off with 1 forest, I could start off with 2 very quickly. That land destruction, which I would be able to replace with a basic forest. I have nothing left in my list, and it's not good. Sometimes I like to go up to 4, but 3 definitely seems like the sweet spot to allow for another spot for Stomping, Commercial, Cavern of Souls. I believe I had it at 4 forests and 1 cavern before I trimmed one of them. But yeah, that's all pretty solid for Castle Garenbrig. That's what it's got to be. There's no reason not to use all 4. I would say you pretty much have to. 4 Sunken, 2 Cavern, less than 3, more than 1. Yeah, and all of a sudden, it's pretty hard to trim anything. Boseiju is not better than the Stomping Ground for me. Boseiju is not so key. But of course it could become some other utility land. It doesn't have to be Boseiju. But in the sideboard, I think it could be. Maybe trimming a Fog, Cease and Desist, which is the new thing I'm sort of trying out. A little bit of graveyard hate interaction. There could be Tranquil Throwback, any number of things, but it was suggested, so I'm happy to oblige, and it is pretty sweet. The artifact enchantment destruction part, of course, pretty expensive, but it's nice to have those options for sure. And Field of Flames too, one of the best sweepers. The snowplow, the snow blower, the giant industrial size one that's actually going down our street right now. I might have the day off. It could be a snow day because of all the ice and rain and whatnot that I'm here. So you might be able to catch me live, but I think that overall encompasses at least close enough why I don't like Boseiju. I don't want 21 lands. That would feel bad, definitely. I just want to keep up that ruthless aggression and keep making the videos, the streams, the standalone ones like this. So take a big bite out of that like button. Hopefully you'll see me tonight, soon, as soon as possible, and peace. Have a good one.